Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Ted. Hi, everybody.
So thanks, gang, for being here. This is kind of a continuation of the webinar we did on Saturday, just the one I did a few days ago. And it was called Quantum Physics for Dummies, the 10,000 Year Gene, Neuroplasticity, and Brainwave Entrainment. So it was a mouthful. But at the end of it, I introduced people to Cindy. She has a free audio, and it's a very powerful tool for people wanting to utilize brainwave entrainment. And I got a lot of response from people. They wanted to know more about that. They wanted to ask me questions. And even though Cindy is my good friend, it's her product. Like I didn't make it, and I didn't feel like I was qualified really to answer a lot of those questions. So I called up Cindy. I said, let's get on and hang out, and let's talk to people. And, I didn't really have to drag her kicking and screaming, kind of a little bit. But I tell you, she was most excited about being able to interact with people. So she said, I'll do it if I can invite my people along as well. So she wanted her entire tribe to be able to come and play with us today and interact and ask questions. So I'm going to be on the chat box over here. So is Cindy, and we're both going to be able to just answer questions that you have about the stuff and then talk about some cool things. So really the purpose of this webinar is for us to go a bit deeper into the topic of what it is that Cindy does, because it's pretty cool. And I had to talk to her for a while and ask her a billion questions. So I get it. If you have all the questions, I had the questions too. And really, it's, I don't want to say what it is because I want to let you talk, Cindy. But the idea here is how we're able to download Source, how we're able to plug right into Source, how we're able to access it in a way that kind of bypasses our conscious faculties. It bypasses our trying so hard to go and do and fix it, and make it right, and find what's broken and fix it. And it comes. I kind of view this this is my opinion here, but like a back door, kind of. Would you agree with that, Cindy?
Well, in the beginning, it feels like a door. It's funny because I was just doing some work with someone recently, and I said to her, wow, it's getting so we don't need the door anymore. That's the ultimate goal. So in the beginning, it's like a back door, but more and more it's getting to the place where it's not a door. It's more like just saying hello and having it be there. It's
maybe you just touch it, I'm in my mind. I'm thinking like if you were at a pond and you sort of touched it, And
my general intention is to be able to connect with Source or God or the angels or whatever it is as easily as I could, say hello to my daughter when she's sitting next to me, or picking up the phone and calling you, or, stepping outside and having, a conversation and accessing the energy and utilizing it that easy. It's that available all the time. It's just that we human beings over generations and lifetimes, and we did it on purpose because it was more fun that way. We set up all these obstacles and borders and doors, door after door after door, to keep us from what's always available. And this technology and a whole bunch of other stuff is removing the doors.
Well, before I turn you loose here, because I want you to talk a bit about the concept really of going into the field and downloading directly from Source, as in your words, because I'm sure that everyone kind of may have their own word for it, but I want people to know something about you, and it's that you are wicked smart. You're like an engineering degree, and you told me that you had honors in chemistry. So to me, that seems so extremely in a different direction from what we're talking about right here. There's a really cool saying, in medio stat veritas. which is a Latin phrase which means the truth stands in the middle. So a lot of times, like if like someone has an extreme point of view or opinion, and then someone over here has the opposite extreme, well, the answer is usually not on those extreme sides. It's like right here in the middle. And so I really, really enjoy the fact that you are marrying those worlds. It's like this cool bridge of you to be a super geek and then be able to go into deep meditation and go into the field and to connect with source like that is really cool. So I had to brag on you for a little bit there. But I'll just turn it over to you to talk to us about this journey and how you discovered this downloading source, and because ultimately that's how you create these audios that people can get their hands on.
All right, so I'm going to go back to the beginning just briefly, because it's important for people to understand that I wasn't born like connected and believe. I wasn't born, and I didn't really believe in God. It wasn't part of my scenario. I was raised in a very reformed, non-spiritual kind of upbringing, and I studied chemistry, graduated, pretty much got the honors. They told me I was the #1 chemistry student at Rutgers University in the year I graduated, which, I just let it happen. And I went on to get advanced degrees in engineering, and I worked in manufacturing and all that stuff. And I had severe panic disorder, and I had physical issues, and I was not happy, and I was very stressed. And I meet a lot of people that can relate to those feelings. But essentially, the panic was intense, and there's long stories involved, but it started to really take over my life. Like, more days than not, I thought I was dying. And I always say this is one of the gifts from God, is that I had this anxiety about being medicated daily. Like, if they had told me to just take something when I was in a panic attack, I probably would have done that. Maybe I wouldn't be here. But what they wanted to do was have me take a pill a day. And the idea that I needed to medicate myself to survive just created such havoc in my space that I went searching for other answers. And the journey was a dozen years and more, but fairly early on, or after one visit to a doctor, I came home with a sample pack of Zoloft, and I locked myself in my bathroom. I'll never forget it, because I locked myself in my bathroom because I had a baby and a toddler in the house. And my girls are almost 18 and almost 19 now, so this is a while ago. And I locked, and I literally got down on my knees. I had never prayed, but I literally was in this place of, God, if you're real, I need help now, because I feel like I'm dying. And it was a very intense emotional experience, and I just surrendered to it. I said, I have no choice at this point. I'm jumping off a cliff. And something happened in that moment, and I relaxed a little bit, and I put those pills on a top shelf in the pantry, and I went on my way. And it wasn't that much longer that I discovered body energy work. I discovered how energy flows. I mean, there's a story that I could take hours and hours and hours, but over the next couple of years, this engineer went and studied and became a psychic. I never even went to a psychic when I learned how to be a psychic. Learned about energy healing and crystals and Reiki. All of this stuff was extremely foreign, but it completely changed my life. And with years, I wasn't an engineer anymore, and I was praying all the time and working with people, and the healings and the miracles that occurred. Someday maybe I'll write a book, but it's been a magnificent, amazing journey. And something's missing, and all sorts of different things are going on. And what was going on, Ted, is that I kept studying different things, thinking maybe this is it. I learned everything there was to know about being a spiritualist minister. And then it's not that I moved on. I didn't not become a minister anymore, but I didn't get absorbed into the church. I became a Reiki master, and I was like, maybe I'm teaching Reiki, and we'll go around the world doing Reiki. And I absorbed the Reiki, and I moved on. The same with crystals and angel healing and all the different Chinese medicine techniques and meridians and all sorts of stuff. I just kept absorbing it all and moving on. And fast forward to last year. I started on the internet in 2009 and writing and connecting and doing all sorts of things. One of my favorite things in the world had always been talking God. I love talking God. Just letting people know that miracles exist, because that's what my life had become.
What do you mean? You like talking God?
Yeah, that's what I call it. I'm not at all religious. I love occasionally going into different churches and feeling the energy of it. But I don't go in. I'm not a religious human being. I don't speak scripture. To me, talking God is this sense that we humans, we're playing this role, and we're walking these stories, and there's all these little dramas that take place in our day-to-day life. And then there's the real us. Then there's the miracle. Then there's this space that in every given moment, when we breathe into the moment, we can touch this, and I'm starting to cry because I can feel it, this blissful, energetic space that is always available to us, that as we let go of our stories, or our attention and our belief that these stories are real and they define us, and we let this energy flow through us, we can literally create the most amazing dreams and worlds and all sorts of things. And so I learned through a lot of different techniques and spaces that I could really take anybody and shift their space in a few minutes, or maybe a little bit longer, but there's always a way to feel better and to release something and to move into the next state. And I call all that talking God, taking people out of their momentary drama and what they're focused on, and reconnecting them to this field.
In talking with you too, I hear you, like, even just right then, you're like, almost have tears, or it's like coming on, or like I feel it happening. It reminds me of my grandfather in his last year of life. It's almost like he was connecting to the other, like he had one foot on the other side of the fence or something. Because he had been sick and, back and forth. But he would just be so moved, just instantly into tears. Like he would see my son, and he would just be like, that is so beautiful. And like the tears would just happen. Or he'd be in a teaching moment, because he was a teacher, and he would be on stage sharing something, and then just be like so overwhelmed isn't the right word, because it kind of has a negative connotation, but it was just like this wave that would just, and I hear that a lot when you talk.
Well, I feel it, and just for the record, I plan on living in this body for at least another 100 years, because that's part of what I'm learning from this energetic
segue you into dying or something like that.
The body, the physical body, and I want to finish my story, but the physical body, you could almost view it as a door almost. It believes that it is separate from the source, and it believes that it isn't the same as source, and that God is somewhere out there and the body is here, and somewhere in the body there might be a soul, and the soul gets to be released when the body dies. But I'm learning that's not true at all. We can move into the cells of the body and retrain the body to let the body know that it's source too, and literally the body's cells can be recharged by source.
Well,
and
it's the physical body really just a reflection of source. It's like a secondary impact of that information.
Yeah, but it also, it's designed very specifically so that we can have this experience of separation, right? But we're not, and it's fun. Being human is fun. Angels don't kiss, Angels don't have that. Angels don't know what it feels, when you're not in a physical body, you don't get the experience of a physical hug.
Yeah.
And a smile in the same way. When you're not in a physical body, don't know how phenomenal it feels to connect when you're disconnected. So I love being human. But this concept of knowing that you could be human and divine at the same time, that's what's so exciting about what's going on right now. The body, literally, I look at this body and the body is getting younger and more vibrant all the time with this work. Like, I'm living it, I'm breathing it, I'm becoming it, and there's no reason in my space as I continue to release and let go and reprogram and restructure and get closer and closer to God every day. There's no reason to drop this body in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. I like it. I'm planning on correcting the things that need to be corrected and hanging out in it. What?
You're chilling for a while. You're gonna stay
I like it here.
So all of this is kind of the preface up to kind of like your journey of how you got to this idea of moving into this space and downloading these things and then being able to like program stuff so that we can share that benefit as well.
So here's it. It was, I'll remember the date because it was very big. September 17th, 2014. I made a decision that every day I was going to write a letter to God. So I write a letter to God, and then the second part was that I was absolutely going to provide the space for God to answer. I was like, this is, I was done. And absolutely every single day, beginning September 17th, I sat down and physically, with a pen and a pad, I don't save the notebooks. I published, I think, one of my letters once to my list, and it's on my Facebook page now. But every day I sit there, and some of these letters, Ted, were bitch sessions. Literally, they were, "Dear God, why is this happening to me now?" And I am not liking this feeling, and can we fix this? And what the hell's going on? But more often, and I let whatever come up. More and more the letters were, thank you, I'm so grateful, what's the next step? How do we bring more of this in? And every day I would write, and then I was committed to at least 20 minutes of allowing God to answer. So that means being quiet, or I'd breathe into my space, and that started September 17th. And a lot of different things happened over the next couple of months, including, a significant illness and a trip to the hospital and some surgery and financial issues. And, I separated from the work I was doing with Ian Legg and everything I was doing on the internet. I was cut loose. There were a lot of things that happened after I began this letter that to other people would have felt like big trauma and drama and pain. But, I took everything that was going on in my space to those letters and to my meditation and my prayer and my contemplation. To the point where when I went as it was an emergency situation, I pretty much walked into the hospital and collapsed in April. I literally got into the wheelchair and I looked around and I said, well, I'm here, I might as well enjoy myself. And I was in and out, and I didn't actually write the letter that day. I spoke the letter that day. I didn't have my pad with me. But I connected, and I said, I really got to the point where even though I didn't, it wasn't my life experience yet, I absolutely knew what I had said to myself for a while, that I had to live my walk, and either God was real, this is what I said, God was real, or he's not. She is not. If God is real, then I never have anything to worry about. If God is real, then I am loved and protected, and everything that's going on in my space that I don't like is happening because for some reason I am resisting God, or I'm resisting this flow, I'm resisting this energy. So the work is all about finding and letting go and opening up to allowing God to flow.
Do you think that we are consciously resisting it, or is it on a deeper level? Is it a sort of learned mechanism, like a way of coping with something painful that happened? Like, is it on a subconscious level? Is it in the field as opposed to us like in the spirit of taking responsibility and attracting and manifesting our reality, sometimes we can go in a negative direction, like beat ourselves up, like I created this horrible thing.
Yeah, well,
that maybe we're not like setting out intending to do it, but there's some sort of background noise happening for us.
yes. Well, yes, and because we are multi-generational. So there's been scientific proof that states that what has happened to our ancestors 3, 4, 5 generations back, if it's a big deal, like a shock to their system, it literally embeds and changes their DNA structure. So
I talk a lot about that in some of the classes. I mean, that's even in it's in scripture about any healing you do to yourself, you heal 4 generations, or like any sin on you is 4 generations of your children or something. Native Americans had a philosophy too, that any healing that you did for yourself went 7 generations back and forward.
yes. Well, the healing too, but also the drama and the trauma.
Yeah.
If you go through war, if you go through terrorism, if you go through famine, any of those things literally gets embedded into your system so that you're, and I'm not thinking of it in terms of curses anymore either. It's an opportunity. So as I clear that out of my DNA structure, I'm not just clearing, like you said, I'm not just clearing it for myself, I'm clearing it for generations, and I'm also clearing it for everybody that I touch. So we're born with this stuff. We take it in from our family, from what they teach us, from what society teaches us. There's a collective, I don't even remember what it's called, but there is an energetic field that surrounds the planet that literally has massive belief structures that are just that, belief structures. Western medicine is one of the biggest. You know, this belief in pharmaceuticals and aging and how the body functions. That's all, like the fact that the body ages, the fact that we deal and how to resolve these diseases, and all the stuff you do that I've got to experience. It's all about that. There is a collective belief structure about how the body works, and we are energetically tied into that until we disconnect and instill a different belief to counteract it. So yes, all of our experiences, our decisions based on, our experiences, all the experiences of our parents, society, what happens when we stare at a television set, all of that stuff adds up and creates this separation.
So I think most people are pretty hip to this conversation, and they're right there with us.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, reach on, man. So what I'm curious to hear you kind of get into is your process of creating an audio. So,
okay.
Short version, I'll say the short version, and then I'll turn you loose. That you'll get a piece of music, an audio, and you'll go into your meditation, and whatever is supposed to come out or come to you or be downloaded, you have discovered a way to take that frequency or the energy of that and program it into this audio so that it's not just you getting the benefit of connecting with Source, up there in Buffalo all by yourself, but it's a way to encode it into a distribution to the world so that it's something that everyone can, touch, as we kind of talked about earlier, and just get a taste of it, really, like give them a nudge in that direction to be like, begin to soften that shell that we have around us. And hopefully all of us be working toward the point where we're connecting directly as you are.
Well, here's what I do. And I write this, so that, I wrote this letter, and then Clean Sweep, which is the free audio you were talking about before, literally in one of these sessions where I'm waiting for an answer, it was a download. It wasn't there, and then it was. And so first I learned about the program, downloaded it for myself, discovered I'd been doing distant energy work for a dozen years, discovered that I could do it for my friends, and then kept asking the questions and learned how to put it in these pieces of music. and it keeps exploding. So literally what happens now, and I just did it about an hour ago with something new, is that I will sit and I will center. I will ground into my body, because making this a physical experience is very important. And I will invite in this consciousness that is source programming. I keep saying, just like Abraham or something, I keep asking it, do you have a name? Do I just have to call? Essentially at this point, it's all the guides and angels and everyone that loves us that is involved in creating source programming. I open up my chakras, I open up my energy system, I allow that energy to flow into my space, then I flow out, and it's the wildest, most amazing experience. As a consciousness with source programming, we expand out into the audio. And then that energy field, with intention, with my focused intention, we move into the center of the earth. So amazing. Someday I'm going to learn how to take everybody on this journey. And then we expand out to cover the earth. And then I set the intention, and this is a time to, and I would love to see if people understand what I'm saying. So this energy that's in this audio, in me, with source programming, we surround the earth with intention. And then I literally send the intention to have the energy flow to every human being that would benefit from what we are programming. And in that moment, as the higher self of those individuals allow, it's not there. There's no forcing, there's no nothing. But the energy becomes available and familiar to everyone who can benefit from whatever it is we are programming in the moment. And then I allow, with intention, we allow that program to download into the energetic field, install, and then activate. So literally, if you're feeling attracted to any of these audios, it means that at some point you've already been kind of exposed and introduced to it, because I'm holding the space and the intention to allow the healing to begin from the moment that the program has been identified and the audio has been installed.
Well, that's a very elegant way of putting it, because you did it in a few sentences. And what I tried to do last week was on my webinar, which went on for over an hour and a half, was like build a case, like step by step, like taking someone here and now here and then here, so that we would end up at that statement and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because I think that, like, if you're just a total left brain analytic chemistry geek and you're not really, a little bit about this stuff, it might be a little bit too far away. It might be too far from where you're at. So I spent, and if you guys didn't get to see that, I'm going to put it up back on the site. Some of you guys, I put it in the chat box here. It's drmortar.com. And on the toolbar at the top, or the menu bar, I activated the page because it's a hidden page. It's not for everyone to just go and see. I'll leave it up there for maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days. I don't know. It looks goofy there, so I don't want it to stay there. But you guys can go back and watch that if you want. But ultimately, it took me an hour and a half to say what you just said right there. So giggle, because you just it's just focused. That's what it is. And I'm very curious, and I don't know that even you can answer it, as to how you created a set of audios. Well, let me even back up and say it this way. I felt like you were using brainwave entrainment audios, and that was the power, and that's what it was, what you were doing. And then you got responses from people saying, hey, make something that I don't have to listen to in headphones, that I can listen to just in the car or in my room or something like that.
Well, there's a lot of things. I've been involved with brainwave entrainment since 2009, and I love the technology. A lot of people thought that the source programming audios were brainwave entrainment audios, just like you said.
Yeah.
And that's great. I don't want to get in, we could have a conversation for days about the benefits of brainwave entrainment. Brainwave entrainment isn't for everyone. People have reactions to brainwave entrainment, and I don't ever, it works okay with children. I tend to not recommend it for children. I tend to, there's a lot of different things. And again, to get the access to brainwave entrainment, you have to wear the headphones and all sorts of things. So yes, I was opening and working with Source and saying, I want something else. But it was even more than that, Ted, because I have learned, it's interesting, I don't really plan anymore. I take care of things for tomorrow and the next day and the next week, but every single day I wake up and I say, okay, God, what do you have in store for me? And where are we going next? I have a lot of my favorite programs, but Faith and Trust is one that I activate maybe 100 times a day. And the more real it becomes in my space, that particular Source program, the more fun I'm having. Because no matter what is happening, no matter what seems to be going wrong in any given moment, another one of the programs that Source gave us is called Find the Gift. So I go back and forth between Find the Gift and Trust and Faith, and I really am becoming very entertained. And that was one of the moments. And literally, we're moving towards Phoenix. I'm reading the chat box. I guess it was an awesome hour and a half. Adam King is a friend of ours, right? And he is a brilliant composer. And we were having a conversation. We were having a conversation in the beginning of December. And literally, I think I said to him, we should do something together. And he said, okay, what? And I said, I don't know. Let me get back to you in an hour. Or I'll get back to you before the end of the day. And I got off the phone and I sat in my space and I connected to Source and I said, what are we going to do? And the energy flowed. And within an hour or two, I sent Adam a text, or I called him up and I said, are you ready for this? Because I even have the names of the programs. And I didn't even know, I had to look up what a mitochondrial was.
Yeah,
mitochondria biogenesis. And then there was this, I saw the silk and had and immediately knew like what spider silk was, and Daily Burn showed up and literally, and it got very chill because when Adam and I were talking and said we should do something together, I didn't know what we were going to do. We are going to do it. We were talking about creating programs for children and doing different things, and we have our ego vision. And then literally I got off the phone and it was almost like having a conversation with God, only I don't see him sitting next to me yet. I want to do that. But he was just there. It felt really good.
You should get like a big stuffed teddy bear or something, so you have some.
Oh, yeah. I reconnected with Adam, and I said, here are the names, and I sent him the email and said, here's the feeling of each of these pieces, and he went into the studio. And what's different about Phoenix from anything else we've created up till now, but it's going to change in the future because Adam and I have a number of other programs happening that I'm not going to talk about yet, but I know that Source went into the studio with him. So even though I went in and programmed and did what I talked about with Phoenix after the fact, Phoenix was programmed with Source programming from the get-go. There was no re-engineering anything that was created after the fact. He would literally text me going, I'm in the studio crying, I don't know what's going on.
Well,
it was amazing.
And just to back up for a second, because in your plethora of downloads and your sort of dedication to put them into audios and have those for people, you've got a bunch of different collections, if you will. You got your brainwave entrainment collection, chakra collection, and out of those collections, one of them is called Phoenix.
Yes.
And so that's what you're talking about right now. And
Phoenix
correct me if I'm wrong, Phoenix is the one collection that you don't necessarily need headphones to listen to. Is that correct, or am I?
Well, you don't need headphones for the Triad Wave collection either.
Okay.
Actually, you don't really need headphones. There's a little bit of brainwave entrainment in the Chakra series, but there's a lot of other things in that series as well. So the only
Phoenix
series you absolutely need headphones for to get the brainwave entrainment aspect of the audios is the brainwave entrainment series.
And you guys named it Phoenix, and I remember the story. I listened to it on your website, the interview of you and Adam talking about each of the audios. So there are 4 of them total: mitochondrial biogenesis, Spider Silk, Quiet Mind, and Daily Burn. And they all have their, specific sort of encoded information or, intention or, download. I don't know why I'm struggling for words on that one. But the idea was that these all represented some sort of rebirth or some sort of like cycling or reawakening of our physical body, almost a tool to support us in this physical realm, creating or maybe even removing that resistance that you talked about earlier, so that we could connect with Source directly, almost like peeling the gunk away from outside of us so that Source was able to get in. I always envision it like here in my heart is Source, and it's trying to get out, but I have some resistance or gunk or junk or negative experience, emotion trapped in the field right here. It's like a wall that's creating separation between me and Source. It's distance and it's dissonance and it's distracting, really. And here comes Source. It's coming at it, trying to chip away at it, and I'm coming from my heart, trying to get it from this side. And like without tools and help, we sort of like play this broken record that skips, and we just, anything we chip away from the field, we just get to work to build it back again, and we reinforce that because that's just all we really know how to do. But sorry, I just went off on a rabbit trail there. So I really envision in a physical sense, not that the other ones don't help us in a physical way, but these seem to be really centered around us recycling or being in the cycles of like rebirthing and being reborn. Like even in the physical world, when you're looking at the biology of the body and the cells, that if, like, let's say you have, because you literally are rebuilding your body all the time. If you have a sick cell, we don't waste energy fixing it. They just get rid of it. And cells will divide and they'll make a new one to replace it. And so a lot of times when we have these chronic conditions that have been going on for a long time, when it seems like we should have been healed from that old injury, or, fill in the blank, that really there's some information out here in the field that's reinforcing the physical body to express itself in that way again. And when the cells are dividing, they're dividing and making those subpar expression. Like the cells aren't at 100% function. And as they divide and they divide and they divide, we just kind of bring down the level a little bit more and a little bit more. And so in my mind's eye, when I hear Phoenix and when I hear you talk about it, I'm seeing us rebirthing or awakening or like turning the volume back up on the signaling to those physical cells so that boom, we can just be who we're supposed to be instead of living out and playing out this expression of our past experiences, whether they belong to us or our ancestors.
Yes. Well, the cells have a belief, they have a programming. They have a belief structure, so that when they reproduce and separate, they reproduce based on that belief structure. And part of what we're doing with Phoenix is changing the programming, absolutely, so that when it recreates new cells, it does it from a much different standpoint, belief structure, understanding of the connection between the body and Source.
So do you guys have some questions about these audios and about Phoenix specifically? Because that was a lot of the things that I got from you guys. So I want to take an opportunity for you to get Cindy here and to ask about Phoenix. I think you should look. Here's Georgia. I love Phoenix.
I love Georgia.
I think you should all have it. I really do. And I'm gonna put up a way for you guys to get it right here, and we're gonna do something cool for you. Let me just click the button and load it right here. If you click the link over here for Phoenix, you can go to Cindy's website, and like I said, she has 4 audios there. They're all $20 a piece. And if you want to, get one, you can get them a la carte like that. You can check it out and take it for a test drive. But don't do that, because there's a package that you guys can get here today. You can get all 4 of them for $30. So, $20 and you get one of them, $30, you can get them all. And I really encourage you to play, to dive into it. Would you mind, Cindy, just maybe a few bits of feedback, or I don't want to say testimonials or anything, but what are people telling you about Phoenix?
James is just talking, and I want to just talk about the 4 pieces really briefly first. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, just in general, mitochondrial biogenesis, when it works with your body, and when people first start listening to that audio, we've heard dozens of people come back and say, I don't know why, but within the first 2 or 3 minutes, I just started to cry.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah, it happened to me too, and it happened to Adam, and it happened to dozens of people. And literally designed, and this is the vision I got. The vision I got when it was created was almost of star seeds being implanted into our cellular structure, so that as the cells grow and reproduce, we are moving from the separate carbon-based cell structure into this next generational light structure. That is the energy of mitochondrial biogenesis. And so when you first start listening to it, what's going on is it's moving through your body, and it is releasing. We hold a lot of emotions, and you know this in your work. I know you do, because you and I work together. You hold a lot of emotions, a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, a lot of a sense of separation in ourselves, and that creates fatigue, and it creates aging, and it creates all sorts of stuff. And one of the first things the mitochondrial biogenesis does is it cleanses you of these emotions being held in your cellular structure, and we tend to feel it on the way out. It's a cleanse.
Yeah, I mean, in the chat, James and Georgia are both saying Phoenix is doing strange things to my body. Lots of releasing going on.
Yes. So, and people, more often than not, it tends to be the first audio you're attracted to, and you get this kind of emotional response to it. And after a while, though, it just becomes pleasant. It's just an amazing feel good, because your cells are shifting and changing. It's not some people come back to me and say, and I do too, you have an immediate feel better response, or immediate, sometimes you get, there's a lot of stuck energy in different parts of our body, and when these audios feel it, you can feel different tensions and sometimes pains that come and then release real quickly. It's all just locked energy moving its way out. But generally, you tend to start feeling better, more relaxed, more connected, more energized. Spider silk, and that one blew me away. I'm very attracted to that one because
this is the next audio.
My initial impression. So we'll talk about soul retrieval in a minute. It's not the same. Spider silk. What my initial vision was that it was specifically designed. Spider silk is just about the toughest, most flexible, strongest kind of energy material around. And so I really thought what we were doing was creating an audio designed to help with flexibility and ligaments and those types of things. But once we really got into it and worked on it, it's literally helping every organ in the body. So the first place I feel spider silk is in the intestinal walls and in the stomach and in the diaphragm and in the cells over the skin, all the places where we have that kind of cellular separation. Spider silk is going in there and rebuilding and restructuring and opening and just making everything more flexible and happier. And then reading and talking at the same time. I'm going to have to have you read for me while I talk. Daily Burn is just, and I saw it, and and I take it there. It's just energizing. You know, I told Adam when I saw this audio, it's the one I wanted to take into the gym and lift with and stuff like that. But literally, it is an amazingly energizing experience. It just turns the body on. I don't know how to put it any other way. And then Quiet Mind, Ted. People should not listen to Quiet Mind unless they're ready to go to sleep. And they should never listen to it when it would be dangerous for them to fall asleep. Because
in your interview with Adam, when you were talking about quiet sleep or quiet mind, you're like, just turn it on and go to sleep. That's all.
Well, we do a lot of healing. We do a lot of healing in deep sleep, and Quiet Mind allows the conscious part of the body to just shut down and rest, so the body can do its thing. So it's in that deep sleep that we release inflammation, that a lot of the youthing goes on, that toxic stuff can be moved through the body, and people that have autoimmune or different chronic diseases, they might get some rest, but they never move into that deep sleep. The Quiet Mind helps you get there.
An interesting point right there too, just when you go to sleep at night, your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system swings the balance from its sympathetic dominant or sort of stress mode, and then it goes parasympathetic, and that's where you rest and repair and reassimilate and you digest, and that's where the healing happens. A fun fact too is in the first hour of sleep, you release the most growth hormone that you do in your entire sleep cycle. So if you're going to sleep, like people that might take a pill to go to sleep, they're out. You know, they're not conscious, they're asleep, but their body never transitions into that healing mode. And so they wake up more tired than they were when they went to sleep. And if you feel that way when you wake up, then I guarantee you're not transitioning in that that balance of your nervous system. And I mean, you can literally be sitting in bed and it's 1 a.m. and like you should be going to sleep, but you can't sometimes because you consciously know you're in a nice relaxing place, but all this old stuff is just screaming alarm, emergency. And even though you might get to sleep, the smoke alarm, you know, the alarms and the bells are still going off, and you're still operating in that type of in a very physical sense, in your physiology. You're still responding as if you're in a protection mode, and you never really get the benefit of that. So it's very, very powerful for somebody that's looking, that, you know, has a chronic condition or looking to heal from something, that they get that deep sleep. And any tool they can have, period, to do that is going to be something that they need in their tool belt.
Yes, and getting into the sleep naturally, like you said, because medicated sleep does not put you in that same space. It doesn't.
You know, you said people will kind of look at it and be drawn to one of them. Mine was the opposite. I was like, these are cool. Not that one. I don't need that one. So it it had the yin yang effect on me.
Yeah, well, I've also tell people, it's interesting when people come to me and they've worked with Clean Sweep and they say, I don't know, because the collection's growing all the time. Because the collection's growing all the time. It's just the energy is moving in such an amazing way. I tell people to look for the audios they're most attracted to and the ones that they're most resistant to. Because, you know, we have a saboteur in our space. We just do. We have this energy. There's a very it's not always strong. Mine is becoming weaker and weaker by the breath, but there is a fear of change. There is a fear of getting bigger. There's a fear of having our dreams come true. And there is this energy consciousness within our space that wants to protect us from change. And so it will literally put those barriers up and say, no, that one's dangerous, or don't touch that one, or you don't like that one. You have to really look at when, sometimes that's the higher self telling you that, no, taking that, that shot of crack cocaine is really not good for you. But sometimes,
but it feels so good.
but sometimes it really is it's that energy in your space that is afraid of the unknown, and that's keeping you stuck. And so there is a conscious awareness. And I gotta promise you, there's nothing dangerous or bad in source programming. It's all designed from the highest and best, most amazing space. And so, if you're feeling strong resistance towards something in the collection, you can handle it slowly and not listen all of the time. But it absolutely means there's something in there for you, without a doubt.
Well, I want to, at this point, just in respect of time, to kind of go in the direction of wrapping it up. But is there anything else that is just itching that you want to talk about, or anything else you just got to get out?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know I'm just looking. Julie asked this question about soul retrieval, and I don't think it's the same. I've had some soul retrieval work done. I think there's so many amazing, beautiful, wonderful healers. And a big part of the work, my internal work that's leading to everything that I'm sharing, what I'm doing, is coming and relating to this concept of merging the physical body with the soul, with the heart and the mind, and then expanding out to source as one whole being. So there's pieces of that, but Phoenix especially is not. It's not the same thing that a shaman would do when they do soul retrieval. The strange the strange sensations and reactions that people are experiencing and talking about on the side here, I say they're all good. When people come to me and they don't really believe in the technology, the source programming, I tell them to breathe into it. And I look at them, and one of the things I say, well, if it was just music, it wouldn't be happening. So breathe into that and understand. And the other thing is, we hold it, like I said, we hold emotions in our space. We actually also hold some panic and different things in our space. But the moment we look at it and really know it's old stuff flushing through us, everything becomes easier. And if we relax into the sensations, get all the rest the body is requesting during those times, drink a lot of water, eat protein, get outside, all of those things help us integrate these changes really quickly.
Sweet. Earlier when you were talking about the word that you use for God, I was thinking, I always use the word dude. Remember the Big Lebowski? Dude. I do that all the time. I'm like, dude, come on. Give it to me. What do we need? It seems like everybody has their way to personalize it or so.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'll talk about source and stuff, but I always go, I like God being God.
Yeah.
I think
God is, right?
God got a bad rap in a lot of churches and in a lot of experiences, but the truth of the matter is that doesn't make God bad. So God is still God with me. I'm coming out of the closet and telling everybody I'm having a love affair with God.
Well, I appreciate you coming out of the closet to hang out with us today. And again, I want to remind everyone to click the link and go to Cindy's website, and it's an opportunity for you to get all of those Phoenix recordings for just $30. So please take advantage of that. If you're listening and you don't want to, you're like, well, I don't have the money to buy anything. That's totally cool. Make sure that you get Cindy's Clean Sweep audio. It's a totally free gift she has for you. You just have to put your email in to get it there, and have some fun, because this stuff is really about playing, and it's about remembering where we came from, kind of seeing the world again through a different set of eyes and being reborn as the phoenix is in the cycles. It's rebirthed and comes back to life again. So I want to give you a chance to say anything and say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. I love you. And
that was quick.
Yeah, well, I'm just, I tell everybody on my list all the time. I answer every email. I'm here to serve. I am currently having the time of my life. I have learned through experience now that when you're in the flow, life is good and it gets better all the time. And this is really, it just feels phenomenal. And I want it to touch as many people as we can. So I love you all. I'm here for whatever you need.
Well, we appreciate it so much. And again, if you guys didn't get a chance to watch the webinar from last weekend, it was an hour and 40 minutes. You can watch it for a few days at drmortar.com. And then any one of you here will have a replay for this webinar too, so you all can get it. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast, but I'm going to leave the chat room open here so that we'll be able to stick around and answer any questions or anything you guys got. So much love, and we'll see you guys on another time.